Hello, how's everybody doing? Nobody's here yet. Nobody's here yet. I wonder how everybody feels about this trailer. I have not actually tuned into a ton of the online discourse about it, but I thought it was pretty dope. I know nobody's here yet, but somebody on the video is going to watch this beginning part. So how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I wonder if people will even know I'm streaming. I normally don't just start right away. I normally let something play out first, but today I didn't want to waste any time. I just wanted to jump right into it. But I am going to tweet out that I'm streaming now really fast while I've got the link. So give me a minute to do that. I need the streaming tab. What's up, Queen? How you doing? How are you doing? You're excited? What'd you think of the trailer, Queen? I thought it was a good trailer. I thought it was a good one. Queen is excited. So much better than the first. I could not agree with you more. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first trailer. I was quite underwhelmed with it. I thought that first trailer was all style, no substance. It was nothing. I mean, it was just monsters walking around. And this one actually, not only did we get hints to the plot, but we also got some teasers as to like new monsters appearing. It was a little more juicy. Did you watch this one more than once, I take it then? I watched this trailer twice so far, but I scrubbed through it a couple times. You know what my biggest disappointment in this first trailer? Oh, what's up, Saturn Dusk? How you doing? Strange Valentine's Day gift, but we'll go with it. Thank you very much, man. I think, you know what I'm most disappointed with in this first, or in this newest trailer, is just that we still don't have very many good shots of Godzilla. Like, I notice it because as a content creator, I'm trying to like screenshot the trailer so that I could get thumbnails with Godzilla in it. And anytime Godzilla's on screen, it's like shaky, or it's like there's things obstructing him, or it's a really close shot of him. We don't really have any shots of Godzilla just vibing yet. The best one we got is like him approaching or going back into the ocean on the beach. That's like the best shot we've got. And then of course there was the shot of him in the Coliseum from the teaser a couple weeks ago. But in this trailer, they didn't give us any really, really great money shots with Godzilla either. Yeah, I don't know why they're hiding Shimo. I guess I don't totally get it, because it's like the toys are out for Shimo. Shimo's a brand new monster. There's no context to Shimo, so saying that there's a new monster isn't a spoiler. I do like that they're building up the mystery of the new monster in the trailer. There are glimpses of Shimo. There's a couple glimpses of Shimo, but I like that we're not seeing a ton of Shimo yet, just because I do like to preserve that mystery. However, I don't understand why they're locking it down as hard as they are, where we literally have Shimo hidden in the frame a couple times, and then the one shot of the eyes coming online, basically. And that's all we've seen so far. But I was hoping for, what I really wanted was one final shot in the trailer of Shimo doing a big roar or something. I thought that'd be cool. Maybe they're saving that for trailer 3. Who knows? Yeah, Queen, I just don't know why you would hide Shimo for general audiences, considering general audiences won't have any clue what Shimo is. I mean, Godzilla fans shouldn't have any clue what Shimo is. In fact, imagine a world where all of the leaks didn't exist, and this was the first we had ever learned that there was another monster in this movie. And we saw like a blue creature hidden in the frame a couple times, and something shooting a big blue beam into the sky that doesn't look like Godzilla. That would be so incredibly exciting. if the fans didn't fucking spoil every single thing that there could possibly be hidden within this movie to the point where there's nothing left to talk about. I didn't expect Kong to go one-on-one with Shimo either, Michael. That's a big bummer for Kong. That is clearly a matchup he was never meant to go toe-to-toe with. But what I do hope that means is that Kong is going to go 1v1 with Shimo. I really hope Godzilla 1v1's Scar King, and I really, really hope Scar King kicks Godzilla's ass. That way you could have Kong's opponent be someone who's bested Godzilla, and Godzilla's opponent be someone who's bested Kong, which would kind of explain why they need each other's help. That'd be fun. Yeah, Mechagodzilla was way, way more obvious than Shimo. Mechagodzilla literally is in the first couple seconds of the first Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. And Shimo is way more secret. We don't even know what a Shimo is, man. I did see the reflection in Gia's eye. And you know what I think? Not a single person on Earth would have known what that was in Gia's eye had it not been spoiled. But of course, because people can't keep anything a secret with this movie and they have to fucking spoil everything, everybody was able to piece together what was in her eyes. No one would have known otherwise. It is so impossible to tell what you're looking at unless you know what you're looking for. What's up, Childish? What's up, Cat? What's up, Hunter? What's up, Iron Wolf? What's up, Vip God? How you doing, Joe? Hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, we only have long shots of Shimo. I think it's cool. I kind of like that they're preserving some sort of mystery. I think that's kind of neat. Jack, the best way is to find people who do it. I mean, back in the day, or just ban their accounts, take them down, get them offline. It's not hard to ban an account. It is illegal to spoil stuff. It's not hard to ban an account either. I remember back in the day in the King of the Monsters era, there was this one YouTuber who shall go unnamed who was dropping major leaks for King of the Monsters all the time. Oh, hello, Rob. Is Rob watching the stream? What's up, man? How you doing? I don't know. Hello, everybody who's saying Rob says hello. Please tell Rob I said what's up. Yeah, back in the King of the Monsters era, there was a YouTuber who I will not name who was dropping spoilers like crazy. I had done interviews with some of the Ghidorah actors, and Legendary shut those down and was like, hey, man, sorry, you've got to take those offline for the time being. So I did. But when I asked why, they said because this guy, and they knew who it was, is leaking information. And that makes all of you look bad. So until the movie's out, that's got to go. Which I don't, first of all, understand the logic there. But it just showed that they were aware of the problem. Like, it's not like that they're not aware of it. I don't understand why they don't take stuff down. It's always baffled me. Because it would be way more exciting if all of us learned for the very first time right here. See, and I'm about to block this guy permanently. Yeah, it would be way more exciting if we were learning for the very first time right now that, like, oh man, there's an ice monster in this movie. Of course, the toys already showed it, which I don't really have an issue with because, again, we don't know what Shimo is. But it would be way more exciting if we had never seen a hint of Shimo before now. That'd be really cool to be like, what is that thing? How's everybody doing? Mr. Milkman, how you doing? What's the biggest mistake or wasted potential the MonsterVerse has done? IMO, it's killing Bryan Cranston. We are so beyond killing Bryan Cranston. Ren Serizawa was the biggest misstep the MonsterVerse ever took, introducing such a character with so much potential and then killing him off in one outing in a really unceremonious way where he accomplished essentially nothing the entire time he was around. What a waste of a character. Ren Serizawa was the biggest mistake the MonsterVerse ever took. Oh, thank you very much, Hunter. I really appreciate that. Have a good day. What did you guys think of the trailer? Did you guys like the trailer more? You know what I think is really freaking funny? Yeah, I'm not upset about the Bryan Cranston thing. Yes, Joe was the most compelling character in that movie. And when he died, the human plot had nothing left to give, it feels. But I also don't know what you would do with that character if you keep him around past that movie. If you kept Bryan Cranston's character around, there'd be an expectation that he'd come back for the sequels. And I feel like that character, his story would have ended. I don't see him joining Monarch and being buddy-buddy with Serizawa in the future. I wish Rodan was in this movie. I hope Shimo makes it out because I want to see it fight Rodan. You want to see Shimo fight Rodan? I just hope Shimo makes it out because I kind of feel like the MonsterVerse kills off its titans a little too quickly. Like, the Skullcrawler I get, the Mutos I get. Killing Ghidorah, I don't quite understand, because Ghidorah would be a great one to reuse in a sequel. Wasting Mechagodzilla in a movie that was not about him was a big mistake. And in this one, almost certainly we know that at least some of the titans are going to get killed. And it would be quite the bummer if Shimo was one of them. I did not see the trailers the #1 on trending. So anyways, what did you guys think of this trailer in relation to the last trailer? That's my question. Which trailer did you guys like more? For me personally, you guys know my feelings on this channel. I did not like trailer 1. I didn't think trailer 1 was all that good. I feel like trailer 1 offered not much of anything but showing kind of monsters walking around and existing. It didn't offer much of a story hint. It didn't really offer anything. Trailer 2, though, Trailer 2 had kick-ass action, the music was way better, the tone was improved, it was showing what the movie actually is. We got some scenes of the fights, we got to see why Scar King's a threat. Pretty much everything I talked about in my like top 10 things that need to happen video that I just made like a day ago. I just made that video and everybody before the trailer came out was like, this dude asks for way too much. He's asking for them not to spoil stuff, and he's asking for Shimo. This guy's ridiculous. Shimo's not a spoiler. We don't know what Shimo is. The only reason you think Shimo's a spoiler is because you've read the leaks. Shimo isn't a spoiler. Shimo's a brand new thing. Shimo is no more of a spoiler than the Skullcrawler was in Kong Skull Island. What the fuck are you talking about? So anyways, I feel like this trailer actually knocked off like every single thing I had mentioned on my list of basically the top 10 things I felt needed to happen in this trailer. Actually, let me go through that list and see if it did. I feel like it really did. I don't think there's much left that I feel like they needed to do. Don't show too much. I feel like we didn't see King of the Monsters level spoilers, so that was good. Tell us what the story is. I feel like we now have an understanding of Kong is led to this kingdom of the apes where he gets his ass kicked by this bad guy monster. Meanwhile, Godzilla's kind of wreaking havoc on the surface, it seems. And then Kong is forced to try and go get Godzilla's help to take on this threat. At least that's the story the trailer is telling us. And that's a better story than trailer 1, which tells us Kong finds another one of his species and then more monsters walk around. And that's all it told us. Establish why Scar King's a threat. This trailer absolutely did that. What role do the humans play? Now we see that their role in the story, not only does Gia have some sort of prophecies about the future, which is kind of whack. I'm not the biggest fan of that. But Gia not only has some prophecies of the future, but we also see that the human's role is basically to help support Kong once he gets his ass kicked and give him some upgrades. Show Godzilla's new design in motion. That's kind of the only thing that we really didn't get. We got the shot of him roaring at the end, which is fine. I wish they would have done a little more with Godzilla's design. Tease Shimo, which they teased him. Show us a fight, which they did. Lean into the film's tone, which they did. They did lean into the film's tone and showed us a little bit more of what it's going to be like. They didn't have a really killer, recognizable song, but they did have a better soundtrack to this trailer than the first trailer, that's for sure. and then get us hyped. And in my case, the trailer absolutely got me hyped. So to everybody who was saying that that I was asking for way too much out of this trailer, I know good marketing. And this was much better marketing than the first trailer. So shut the fuck up. That would be crazy, Alpha. I don't think Gia has genetic memory. I would guess that their explanation is going to be that Gia, because she's so in tune with the Titans, there's some sort of prophecy with her, almost certainly, that... Well, thank you very much, Mechagodzilla. I really appreciate that. I'm going to guess there's some sort of prophecy with Gia, with that Hollow Earth kingdom, which is why they bring her to the temple and she's like reaching up into the sky or whatever, and there's like glowing energy on her hands. I'm going to guess there's some sort of prophecy to her, and that she's having some sort of Hollow Earth radiation connection. Of course, Dr. Chen and Dr. Ling had a semi-mystical connection to Mothra, so I think they're going to play up those ideas in this movie and get a little more mystical with it. For the MonsterVerse finale, would you rather a Toho monster or an original monster as the villain? If you're doing a finale to the MonsterVerse, that's where I feel like Destroya would be a great one, or a resurrected Ghidorah, but you got to make him look cooler. You got to make. By the way, I love that 2019 design; it's my favorite design. But if you're gonna bring back Ghidorah, you got to do something different with him. So if you're gonna bring back Ghidorah, I'd say make him like red or something. Give him something interesting about him that makes him distinct from the original Ghidorah. But I would like to see Destroya for the final. I think that'd be cool. Yeah, I think it'll basically be that I agree, Mr. L. Oh, hey, Mr. L, how you doing? It's been a while. I agree that the Iwi are gonna just have some sort of mystical connection to the monsters. Owen, do you think Kong will get his lightning powers? There's a shot in the trailer where Scar King whips a building at Kong and he punches through it. And when he's punching through it, there's like lightning bursting out of his hand. I think it's going to be that his new gauntlet has electricity that it can harness and release. So I would expect that Kong is going to sort of get his lightning powers, but in a much more in a different way. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he'll use it organically. I think it'll be part of the gauntlet. I don't think he will use it organically. The person asking about the box office predictions, I don't see your comment anymore. Oh, where are you? Avenger's asking, what do I think of the box office predictions? I'm personally going to guess about 500 million. I think that releasing it the week after Ghostbusters was such a huge mistake. I can't wrap my head around why they did that. I think that was a huge misstep. So I think they really hurt themselves with that. I would expect about 500 million. Right in the same ballpark as maybe, and by the way, 500 is my high end. I think we could go anywhere as low as 300, but I'm going to try and be optimistic. I think it'll be around Godzilla vs. Kong levels, but I could see it going as low as King of the Monsters. Oh, I didn't notice that. Hamilton or Hilton. Sorry, man. Let me just say Jaden. That seems easier. I guess I didn't notice that yet. I guess I didn't notice him doing a big electric burst in Gia's vision. I actually haven't really dug into the trailer as much as you might think. I've been busier today than I expected to be, and I'm going to be busy. So I can't do this all night. And then later this week I'll do my trailer breakdown officially. But maybe I'll pop on and try and do another live stream with you guys while I'm Easter egg hunting through the trailer. Maybe I'll try and do that tomorrow night or something. But as for right now, I'm not doing the trailer breakdown tonight. I'm busy, and I'd rather prioritize other stuff. I'd rather prioritize my real life than YouTube. So, obviously, I've got important things to do, so I cannot do that tonight. What was I about to look up? Oh, I know what I was going to look up. Godzilla King of the Monsters is an amazing movie. I think that movie's incredible. I don't understand why it's getting so much hate. I think it was Mr. L. Mr. L, were you asking about... I think Mr. L was asking, do I think it's going to be over or under 50 million? I'm looking at the King of the Monsters opening weekend, which is under 50 million. Let me check Godzilla vs. Kong. Godzilla vs. Kong was under. It was at 48 million, but that was during the pandemic. I'm going to guess over 50. Okay, you want to hear my honest guess about the box office for the new Empire? I think that right out the gate, it's going to be pretty front-loaded. I think we're going to be about 50 million opening. And then I think it's going to have an enormous drop-off second weekend. Like as high as 70%, but I would expect it to be somewhere more around like 60%. I think it's going to have a huge second weekend drop-off. And I'm really curious if this is going to be a movie fueled by word of mouth, the way that Godzilla vs. Kong was, or if people are going to be scared away by just how different this movie is. But I think it'll do very well overseas. I think internationally it's very safe, so I would expect that the movie's going to make its money back just fine. Execute Order has not been going on long. Thank you very much, Zodiac. I really appreciate that. Exilians in the MonsterVerse create Mecha Ghidorah. Hey, man, I'm not a Mecha Ghidorah fan. I've never been a Mecha Ghidorah fan. I'm certainly not a Exilians in the MonsterVerse fan. But after this movie, I'm really hoping we take a step back. Because we can't go bigger and bigger and bigger each time, which is what they're trying to do. You know, how do you top Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan in one movie? Well, you put Godzilla Kong and Mechagodzilla in the next movie. How do you top Godzilla Kong and Mechagodzilla in one movie? You put 100,000 monsters in the Hollow Earth, you throw in some Toho favorites, and you make it the big spectacle. Don't try and go bigger each time. That's how you kill the MCU. The best way to keep things fresh is to take a step back, to give us one or two smaller scaled stories, and slowly build yourself back up. To those of you in the chat asking about Gamera, get that out of your heads. There's not a chance in the universe Toho would not want to be the first ones to do a Godzilla Gamera crossover. They're not going to let Legendary be the first to do a Godzilla Gamera crossover while they sit back and do nothing. If a Godzilla Gamera crossover is coming, it's going to be a Japanese movie. It's not going to be a Toho film. What do you think is the best Godzilla movie? Me personally, King Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla 1954, Godzilla -1. That's Godzilla versus, or Mothra versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus Biollante. Those are some of my faves. No, Saturn Dusk. I do not expect that we will see -1 holds week to week at the box office. I think it's going to be a big drop week 2. Word of mouth is absolutely the best chance of this movie succeeding. And you know what else is the best chance? You going and seeing it weekend 2. That's what's going to really help this movie. It needs people to see it the second weekend. It needs to hold on weekend 2. How will King Kong vs. Godzilla... How come King Kong vs. Godzilla is one of your favorites? It's the first Godzilla movie I saw. I think it's a lot smarter and more clever than people give it credit for. I think that is a super funny satire on commercialism, on greed, on capitalism. I think it's hilarious how they treat the idea of King Kong and Godzilla fighting as a marketing strategy, basically a commentary on the film industry, where Honda himself found that to be a ridiculous idea, and so he parodies it in its own movie. I just think that movie's really brilliant. I also think it's got some of the most iconic Godzilla moments, and it's got so much fun action in it. That's a great one. What was your guys' favorite shot in this trailer? That's kind of what I'm struggling to decide. It has a lot of really good moments, but the trailer first of all, definitely didn't give me a Godzilla shot that I went, oh, that's iconic. And the Kong shots it gave are cool, but like, I don't know what my favorite shot is. I think my favorite shot might be the one where Kong punches Scar King out while he's holding Zuko, because that's hilarious. That might be my favorite shot. The nuclear pulse is pretty awesome. The nuclear pulse is pretty badass. Oh, you know what else might be my favorite shot? It's when Kong is punching Scar King, and Scar King like grabs the axe and like whips him down to the ground. That's a cool shot. The one that I used for the thumbnail of this. I saw somebody pitch an idea that I thought was really awesome. In my comment section on my trailer reaction that I thought was so cool, which is that what if Kong beats Scar King in the first fight with him, which is why Scar King brings in Shimo to kick his ass, because Scar King obviously can't lose the fight. So before Kong actually gets the victory, it's just that Kong kind of turns the tides, and then Shimo shows up and kicks his ass. Childish Landino, I would expect nothing else. Yamazaki is first and foremost a Godzilla fan. Also, there's even if this movie is an enormous departure from him and from what he wanted to do, he loves the action. It's very clear. Godzilla the Ride takes enormous inspiration from Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla -1 pulls shots directly from Godzilla vs. Kong. I think Yamazaki just loves himself a Godzilla movie. And I think, while he personally would never make a movie like this, even if he was given permission to, this just doesn't strike me as the type of story he would tell. It doesn't mean that he can't appreciate this kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't think Godzilla's releasing an EMP. I think he's releasing a nuclear pulse, which is a very 1990s thing for Godzilla to do. Now, canonically, in the MonsterVerse, Godzilla does a nuclear pulse in Godzilla King of the Monsters once he's all supercharged, which he can only accomplish with the help of Mothra. It is through Mothra's help that Godzilla is able to expel that energy through his body and create the nuclear pulses. And then in the comic book Godzilla Aftershock, Godzilla does a semi-nuclear pulse out of his back, but the only reason he could accomplish that is because his spines were shattered, and so rather than charging up energy, it just expels it. So seeing Godzilla achieve a nuclear pulse on his own is actually a pretty big step for the character, and is actually such a cool thing that, man, I just wish that they went that direction instead of giving him the new design. As I've said in my videos, I'm not a Millennium fan. I'm not a fan of the Millennium design for Godzilla. Ironically, I worked with Shinji Nishikawa, the concept artist who designed the Millennium Godzilla this summer, and even he said he's not the biggest fan of that Godzilla design, simply because he prefers Godzilla to be a little more classic, and he said that redesigning Godzilla for the Millennium era was actually a really big challenge for him, because he didn't like changing the Godzilla design. And for me, I agree. I like my Godzillas to be far more classic. This is not a classic Godzilla, which is why they're stepping into directions for me where it's like, well, I would like to see us shift back to the more normal stuff in the future. I do like the lightning surrounding when he does the pulse. It's very Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. Like it's like that scene in Mechagodzilla at the start of the movie, or I guess midway through the movie, and Godzilla's getting struck by lightning, except here he's somehow blasting it out of his skin. Don't really know how that works. That's the shot, though, where I'm talking about, like, we could have had such an incredible Godzilla money shot right there with him roaring and the pulse bursting out of his skin. But they obstruct it. The camera's all shaking, and it's like, really, all the explosions are causing the camera to shake, which was my problem with Godzilla vs. Kong. The monsters had way too much motion blur to where And I kind of understand it because, like, sometimes you see a shot of Mechagodzilla and Godzilla versus Kong, and he looks very poorly composited into the surroundings. And they cover a lot of that with motion blur, but I am genuinely disappointed in the amount of motion blur in Godzilla vs. Kong, and I am similarly disappointed in this trailer with how much motion blur there is on Godzilla. I just wish we could see the guy without him being vibrating across the screen. What do you think of Suko? Man, what do you guys think of Suko? What does chat think of Suko? What do you guys think of Suko? I personally hate it. I really don't like the design. I'm not a fan of when they try and take a thing and make it look cute. I really don't like that. Like, Baby Yoda, I'm amazed they made Baby Yoda work, because so often that ideology falls flat. Like Baby Groot. Baby Groot, I think, is horrible. Most of the baby characters are pretty awful. Little Godzilla from the 90s is okay. That was a very cutesy one, and I think they actually pulled it off because they played into the cat-like design. But look at friggin' Minya. Minya looks like an abomination, and Suko is the Minya of the Kong world. I think he's just so weirdly proportioned. His eyes are way too big. I feel like there is a really, really easy scale down to Suko where, first of all, make him about 50 feet. Don't make him 100 feet. How on earth is Kong from Kong Skull Island shorter than Suko? That doesn't make sense. First of all, scale Suko down to about 50 feet. Then shrink the eyes a little bit. I'm putting too much ads, you say? Box office, I didn't run an ad. Have you guys been getting ads? Because I have not been running them. Shrink down Suko's eyes. There's such an easy redesign to Suko where it could work. Although I think you had to make him the size that you made him. Because that way he could participate in the fights. See, Childish Landino chimed in and says YouTube runs ads automatically now. I didn't get a choice. Normally it pops up on my stream page and tells me that it's going to run an ad and asks me if I'd like to skip the ad, and I almost always tell it to skip the ad. I didn't get a choice. It didn't tell me anything. Him being bigger than Kong and Kong Skull Island is what really throws it off. If he was about 50 feet, I would be way more okay with it, but it is ridiculous. I don't think they thought that much about it, Erickson. I don't think they thought that deeply about it. I think they just wanted something that looked cute. Hey, I got a question for you guys. I know he's not in this trailer. No, I don't think Suko will die. He's not in this trailer, I'm well aware. I got a question. Do you guys genuinely find Doug to be a funny meme? Do you find that to be funny at all? I find Doug to be so painfully unfunny. I felt like Doug showing up and chomping that crab in Godzilla vs. Kong. What am I pushing? I'm pushing what? I don't understand what's going on. Yeah, okay, thank God. No, Doug is mad. No, not really. Some people like Doug. Doug showing up in Godzilla vs. Kong I liked because it wasn't forced. It was like a natural critter that they put in the Hollow Earth that fans just so happened to think was funny. And so I thought it was funny when Legendary kind of played into that when they did like some fan made a Doug poster and they made like a Godzilla X Kong The Rise of Doug. Legendary tweeted it out. I thought that was funny. But taking Doug and actually making it like a legit thing in the movie where Doug they now make toys of Doug and Doug is going to be in the movie and Doug kind of has like a dog-like quality. I feel like the minute they play into the joke, it killed the joke. It was totally fine when Wingard said that he's named Doug. That was fine, but man, do I feel like they're jumping the shark on that one. Muto, I would have, a year ago, I would have said that I thought I never could have seen a way Gigan could work in the MonsterVerse. I just would have never thought it would work. But you know what? O'Shea Jackson Jr., who played Barnes in Godzilla King of the Monsters, has been campaigning to make a G-Team anime. And if you've seen the concept art that he released on Twitter, he released his concept on a Gigan in the MonsterVerse, and it was so incredible. Instead of having metal hook hands, he had these giant bones, with the idea being that probably once killed, he'd be cybernetically enhanced, maybe by Apex even, to become the Gigan that we know. Oh my god, is that the coolest freaking idea ever? So yes, actually, you know what? As long as Gigan's not from space and is a cyborg instead, that's going to be incredible. I would love to see Gigan in the MonsterVerse. And I would love to see O'Shea's anime get to come to fruition. Yep, more like a natural Gigan. I also like the shot of Kong blocking the frost blast. That is sick, man. I'm annoyed because, okay, I don't know this for a fact, okay? If I know a spoiler, I'm either not going to acknowledge it or I'm going to acknowledge it offhand. I'm not going to say any spoilers. I am going to bet right here there's going to be a prediction, and the fact that I have to specify that makes me so frustrated. But my prediction is that Kong is going to try and block the frostbite blast that Shimo does at him with his axe, because of course he's been trained to do that when fighting Godzilla. So he's going to do that to block the blast, and it's going to freeze the axe and it'll shatter. And so the axe will be destroyed, which is why you don't see Kong with the axe in the rest of the trailer. It's why when he gets his metal arm, he's not rocking the metal arm and the axe. But Kong had an arsenal of axes in Godzilla vs. Kong. The one that he picked up just so happens to be the one that he's using in this movie. It means nothing. It's the royal axe is what Adam Wingard calls it. It's not the only axe. Oh my gosh, that guy had so many more weapons in his throne room in Godzilla vs. Kong. Why doesn't he just go pick one up? The guy could be dual-wielding axes while rocking the Beast Glove. There's absolutely no reason that Kong wouldn't go pick those up, and you could say, well, Godzilla collapsed the whole thing, and so there's the temple's collapsed. Okay, then go dig through it. You're King Kong. You're enormous. Or, hear me out, they build Mechanicon to dig for them. Because that. If there's one thing I've learned from Toho, it's that if you can't get Kong to dig, Mechanicon can dig for you. And if you can't get Mechanicon to dig, it's because you wasted your resources building a Mechanicon and you should have just gotten Kong to dig for you. But anyways, there's so many axes in Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, I really don't get why he wouldn't just go pick up more. I think it's just because they're not going to acknowledge it. You have a feeling they're not going to make any more solo movies and just do Godzilla X Kong movies. That's going to get burnt out. That's going to get burnt out really quickly. I think that they know that they are probably pushing their luck already with this second one. I think this is just kind of a test to see if there is still interest in the MonsterVerse post-pandemic. I think they're just kind of dipping their toes in the water to see how much people are wanting to see and what types of stories people are wanting to see. I almost guarantee you, if they do another one, under the condition that Adam Wingard doesn't come back, it's not going to be a crossover. I almost guarantee it. If Adam Wingard comes back, I have a feeling it's going to be a third part of this story of Godzilla and Kong together. If Adam Wingard does not come back, then I think they're going to be on their own. I bet there are more rooms in the temple with more weapons. Who knows, Mr. L? All we know is that when they were working on Godzilla vs. Kong, Adam Wingard was asked about Kong's throne room and the weapons, and he said, I'm not going to say much about the weapons, I'm not going to say much about the throne room, because if I do a sequel, I have a lot of ideas that I want to develop. Which makes a fella think, Queen, we're just never going to get a Mothra solo movie in the MonsterVerse. I would love to see Mothra get a lot of time to shine in Monarch Legacy of Monsters, where you could dedicate solo episodes to her, treat her like the star she is, but you don't have to blow the budget on a movie that's not going to make a return profit. You think Adam will be back if we get over 700 million? Iron Wolf, I agree with you. I think if the movie performs where I'm estimating it will, which is around like the Godzilla versus Kong level, I don't see them. I don't see them rushing another Wingard film. That's not to say Wingard won't be back. I could very much see Wingard coming back for the finale of the MonsterVerse. I just don't think they're going to rush to it. I think they would allow a different creative to come in and do a solo story or something. Yeah, I'd like to see Matt Reeves direct a MonsterVerse movie. We obviously know he knows how to direct apes, so why not? I don't think Doherty will come back. Even if Wingard wants a break, even if Wingard wants to go make Face Off 2, which, Wingard's got a lot of other projects in the work that he very easily can go work on after this. The guy is so creative. He's got so many ideas. There's no reason he shouldn't go work on a different project. But I don't see Michael Dougherty coming back. I think Dougherty was really, really worn out by his experience on King of the Monsters. I've heard some stories from behind the scenes where Dougherty, while he enjoyed making the movie, it kind of sounds like he was very burnt out. And maybe there's a reason he took a step back. I've heard a lot of rumors, though, behind the scenes that I cannot verify how true they are. I've heard some. I met a Hollywood producer who knew Jordan Vogt Roberts personally, who shared some insights on the making of Kong Skull Island that I had never heard before and that I have never ever heard anybody online reference before. And that explained why maybe Jordan Vogt Roberts didn't come back, and it's that maybe he bit off a little more than he could chew with Kong Skull Island and felt a little too overwhelmed by it and by the process of the Hollywood studio system. I don't think people quite understand just how hard it is to make a movie and how much it physically takes a toll on the people making them. Dr. Boom, I think the variety of directors in the MonsterVerse is both a strength and a weakness. We have variety and something for everyone, but lack consistency to keep the audience. Man, if you just nailed it on the head right there. I think bringing in fresh talent is fantastic. I really love all the stuff they're doing. I like the idea that you could have new, fresh talent telling new stories. It's how we got Kong Skull Island, a movie that took so many risks that Hollywood pictures traditionally wouldn't. And it's how we got Adam Wingard, who is such a creative and different type of thinker that he could push the Hollow Earth into the crazy universe we see now. All that stuff is because we have fresh talent. Gareth Edwards and his approach to Godzilla, even Michael Dougherty, they're all fresh talent. But I do agree that the MonsterVerse is one of the least consistent cinematic universes that they've made. It feels so jarring from entry to entry. It's at times pretty rough. Yeah, KDM may have reported that Wingard's in talks for a trilogy, but in talks means nothing. Michael Dougherty was in talks to return. Michael Dougherty was in talks to do the Monarch show, and he didn't. So it means nothing right now. It'll all depend on the box office, I'm certain. Of the MonsterVerse directors, who would you want to be given a MonsterVerse? Who would you want to be given a MonsterVerse movie first? So if I got the choice to pick somebody to come back, I would pick... I just think at this point, we're way beyond what Gareth Edwards was doing, and I don't think he would be able to come back in a way that would be meaningful enough for him. I think that if he came back, he'd be forced into a world that he no longer recognizes as his own. Michael Dougherty is who I would bring back. I think Jordan Vogt Roberts, I would bring back Jordan Vogt Roberts if I was telling a solo King Kong story set on Skull Island before the events of Godzilla vs. Kong. Absolutely, I'd bring Jordan Vogt Roberts back. I thought he made the strongest movie of the MonsterVerse by far. I think that Godzilla fans, maybe in 10 years, will finally admit the truth, which is, quality-wise, Kong Skull Island is definitively the highest quality MonsterVerse product. It's got the strongest, most well-rounded cast, the strongest, most well-rounded visuals and ideas and execution. The music was incredible, and not relying on nostalgia, it was still great. The movie was inventive and new and different and paid tribute to King Kong in ways that the Godzilla films only dream of doing. That's the harsh truth of it. But I would bring Michael Dougherty back because I think he's a Godzilla guy. I would love to see another solo Godzilla movie. And I'm all for Michael Dougherty's vision. I'd love to see that guy back. Execute Order 69. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that as always. You're always so generous, and I really appreciate it, man. How would you feel if future films acted as direct sequels to 2014, ignoring the rest like the Millennium Era did with 1954? I strongly don't like that idea. I'm very strongly against it. You've already built a cinematic universe. You've already built the sequels. You've already built it in. I think you could do Elseworld stories. Like, I think Legendary needs to finally admit that the comics are not canon to the films. I think that they just need to admit that that's its own side universe. And I think there you could say, why not? The Skull Island anime takes place in that second universe. I think there you could say that, yeah, Skull Island anime takes place in the extended universe. Even Legacy of Monsters is kind of hard to wrap your head around how it could possibly fit into the broader MonsterVerse at times. So no, absolutely I don't think they should do that, but I do think that there's the possibility to tell Elseworld stories, which is actually what I would do with that anime that O'Shea Jackson Jr. pitched. I think his G-Team anime would be a perfect spin-off of the MonsterVerse. Not canon, but the MonsterVerse events maybe sort of did happen, but this isn't happening to the MonsterVerse. And then you could tell a brand new story with those characters and that universe and Monarch and all that good stuff, and you wouldn't be restricted by everything else. Yes, Christian, I agree. King of the Monsters to Godzilla vs. Kong's jump is quite weird. You know, Sergeant, they're in Goatee Band, so they're not on our minds. I agree. Execute Order 69. Personally, I would have not made the Skull Island anime canon to the MonsterVerse. Yeah, I'm really curious about that. Who just said that? Ranger. I'm really curious about that too. I don't know what they're doing with Godzilla in this new movie. I'm really curious about what they're doing because on the one hand, you've got Godzilla like showing up in a rainy storm in what looks like a burning factory, doing a nuclear pulse, fighting military jets. That I believe is our Godzilla. Like, we're being led to believe this is the same Godzilla who goes on to evolve. But Wingard did say we're going to see a lot of different versions of Godzilla in this movie, so maybe it's a different Godzilla. Maybe there's a second Godzilla, which I would be shocked about. Personally, what I think he's referring to is Godzilla's evolution, and then maybe kind of sort of a flashback to see, I mean, maybe, I'd hope, a flashback to see more Godzillas in the wars against the Kongs and the Scar Kings and whatever. Or maybe we'll flash back to see a younger Godzilla fight Scar King way in the past or something. But yeah, Godzilla shows up on the surface. He's all glowing blue. He's doing a big nuclear pulse. He's fighting military jets. I think it's very possible Godzilla's there to fight Shimo or there to fight a different Titan. Like, Godzilla shows up in Rome. I believe Godzilla's going to be fighting the giant crab arm that we see crash down in the city, of which I will not say who it is because I shouldn't know. But you guys spoiled it. But yeah, I'd like to see. I mean, I think Godzilla's going to be kind of walking around on the surface world, going around fighting Titans at the start of this movie. One of the Titans he comes in contact with is going to be Shimo, who's going to put up much more of a fight than Godzilla's ready for. And so I think Godzilla's going to be a good guy. I think he'll kind of be restored to his King of the Monsters status. But Wingard's Godzilla is so not the same Godzilla that we followed before. Godzilla from the 2014 movie went out of his way to avoid hitting military ships. Godzilla in the 2014 movie only broke through the Golden Gate Bridge because he was provoked. Godzilla in King of the Monsters worked alongside the military to fight Ghidorah. And now Godzilla is enraged and smashing through bridges with civilians on them in Godzilla vs. Kong, and then he does the exact same thing in this trailer. It's just a different characterization. I think Wingard radically altered the characterization of Godzilla to make it Wingard's Godzilla and not to make it the MonsterVerse Godzilla. Even down to having him laugh at Kong. That is something that the MonsterVerse Godzilla would have never ever done. So I'm very curious to see what kind of role Godzilla will play. I think he's going to be a bit more of an anti-hero than he has been in the first two films, but I think he'll be along the lines of where he was in Godzilla vs. Kong, where he's going to show up, he's going to kick some ass. If you get in his way, regardless of who you are or what you are, you're dead. Never Lose Your Nerd, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You said, yep, these movies are getting way too ridiculous. To each their own. I'm really hoping that this movie dials it, or the next movie dials it back a little bit. I'm really hoping that post Godzilla X Kong, which I'm kind of all for them doing this big Final Wars blowout, goofy, crazy movie. I just hope next time they take a step back, give us a couple more smaller scaled entries before jumping back into the craziness again. That'd be the smart thing to do. Never Lose Your Nerd, thank you so much. Bring Doherty back. I love King of the Monsters. -1 is go. I'd like to see Doherty come back personally. What I would do, if I had any choice in the world, I'd bring in a new director. Somebody brand new. Brand new, fresh talent. I'd go find a really, really well-crafted indie movie. Someone who's preferably got more than one really well-crafted indie movie under their belt that shows they've got the range to tell both human stories and action stories. And that's the person I would bring in, and I'd do a new Godzilla movie, as long as they're a fan already, the way you did with Garrity, the way you did with Doherty, the way you did with Gareth Edwards. That's what I would do. Do you think the film will just be fights with a dull story, or do you have hope that the story is compelling too? That's the question, isn't it? I think that there's potential there. I think there's a lot of potential for the story to be incredible. I think that there's tons. I mean, I made a video about Kong in The New Empire and how I thought that Kong has so much potential to have one of the greatest stories in a kaiju movie ever. It's just, do I think they're going to take advantage of that? I don't know, man. What do you think the glowing tip on Scar King's... why do you think the tip on Scar King's whip is glowing? Hedera, I have no idea, because the tip on his whip, I believe, is the jawbone. I don't know why that would glow, unless that's the other side. Unless the thing that's glowing is the other side, which I speculated before would be like a sharp dagger, which I could see glowing if that's like a shard of a Godzilla spine. Or it could either be the shard of a Godzilla spine, or it could be one of the crystals that they've got in the Hollow Earth that he's attached as a weapon. But that's in the case where it's the other side, where it's the opposite end of the whip. If it's the end with the teeth, I would guess it's because whatever Titan he's using the bones of was a Titan that could harness energy and blast it out like Godzilla's atomic breath was able to do. I don't understand, Brook. I don't understand how that relates to the whip, though. You think it looks like a crystal? I don't know. Could be a crystal. Could be that he ripped it off Shimo's back. I don't know. Did you know Adam Wingard was meant to direct the Kong movie before it became Kong Skull Island? Okay, you're kind of mixing up info there. Adam Wingard was never on board to direct Kong Skull Island. There was a time a long time ago, when Peter Jackson's King Kong was going to have a sequel made or a spin-off of some sort. Adam Wingard was in talks to do the spin-off of that. Years later, the producer who was involved in that project that ultimately never came to be, and I do believe that project eventually got passed down the line, 4 generations removed became Kong Skull Island. So he was never in talks to direct Kong Skull Island. Whichever producer that was, I forget. I believe it's a woman producer. She eventually brought back... she eventually brought Adam Wingard back. I don't think Takashi Yamazaki should direct a MonsterVerse movie. I think it would be far too jarring at this point. I personally think his quality is a little too high for next up. That unless he's willing to go full crazy mode with it, like he did Godzilla the Ride, and then maybe. I'm very interested to see Yamazaki direct any more monster movies. But yeah, I'm down for that. Milkman, I don't know, man. You got to work something out. If a woman producer sounds funny to you, that sounds like you got to work something out. Oh, hey, thank you very much, Big Talon. Big Talon 256. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. Don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I thought Millie Bobby Brown's story in Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla vs. Kong was peak cringe. So I don't think Godzilla X Kong could get any worse than that. I think the story here will be serviceable. The Team Godzilla storyline in Godzilla in Godzilla versus Kong, Team Godzilla storyline weighs that movie down so much. Every time I went to see that movie, the more times I went to see it in theaters, I can't remember. I think I saw it. I think I got to 17 watches. The more I saw it in theaters, the more I started to be like, holy crap, anytime it cut to Team Godzilla. And at a certain point, like if I'd go see the movie and I was really tired, and I often did because I'd go after a very stressful day, I'd fully take a nap during the Team Godzilla sections, and my body would just naturally wake me back up when it was time for Team Kong. If -1 gets the VFX Oscar, do you think that will give the opportunity to bring Yamazaki into the MonsterVerse, whether as a movie or Monarch season? You know, I think if Yamazaki wins the VFX, actually what I think the MonsterVerse should just do anyways is bring him in for story input. Regardless of if he directs another movie, which I personally don't think he should direct a MonsterVerse movie. I don't think Legendary would want him to. I don't think he should. I think he should direct another Toho Godzilla movie. I think he should direct an international movie outside of the MonsterVerse. And this is what he wants to do as well. He said this in his interviews. He wants to direct a movie alongside an American studio where he can co-finance it, bigger budget, more stars, having international stars that are both American stars and Japanese stars in a movie together. That's what I want to see. I don't want it to be an entry in the MonsterVerse, personally. Plague Doc 2349, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. He says, hey, love the videos, D-Man. Thank you very much. Adam Wingard is my favorite so far. He does the best action scenes and really makes the monsters extremely expressive. Adam Wingard is the best director when it comes to making the monsters characters, and I also feel like Adam Wingard is the best director when it comes to visualizing a fight sequence. Jordan Vogt Roberts, I think, was the best at choreographing a fight scene, but Adam Wingard can move the camera in these crazy ways. I think Jordan Vogt Roberts was right there. Man, that's tough. Oh, those two are tough. Okay, Adam Wingard, I think, has brought to life the best Godzilla fight scenes we've ever gotten. I think Godzilla's fight against Mechagodzilla was incredible. I thought that Godzilla's fight against Kong, specifically round 2, was some of the best Godzilla fighting we've ever seen, if not the best Godzilla fight we've ever seen. That being said, now that I really think about it, I do think that Jordan Vogt Roberts was a stronger action director than Wingard is. But I think Wingard is he just has these crazy ideas that are pretty exciting. Ray, I see where you're coming from. Plague Doc, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much for the donation. Which is surprising because he mostly did horror. A lot of directors start out in horror simply because it's very cheap. A lot of directors just start with horror and then move to bigger budget action movies or something, simply because while they may have the creative vision, they don't have the budget to pull it off, which is why they start with horror. The camera work in the Hollow Earth fight scenes are going to go crazy, especially if they utilize the anti-gravity field to their benefit. I saw somebody pitch the idea of Godzilla doing the classic Godzilla vs. Hedorah flying trick through the anti-gravity field, which is so funny. And that would be the only use of it I would ever accept in the MonsterVerse. And if you're going to go for it, then go for it. But yes, I think if they're going to... We see Suko fighting an ape in the anti-gravity field. If they're going to fight in that anti-gravity field, I think that the movie could go absolutely nuts. Imperial Guard, thank you very much. I really appreciate that, man. And congratulations on your 20th Super Chat. That's awesome. And thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. I just hope to see the MonsterVerse have even more characterization than Godzilla X Kong. Oh, the monsters. I totally added the verse to that. I just hope to see the monsters have even more characterization than Godzilla X Kong. I'm pretty optimistic though. I love your vids, D-Man. Imperial Guard, I really appreciate that. Like I said in a recent video, that video that I'm going to keep shouting out because I truly think it's a good video. The video where I talked about the potential for Kong to have such an incredible storyline in Godzilla X Kong. That video, I discussed that giving the monsters proper characterizations and giving them a want and a need, like you do a normal character to write a compelling character, giving them something they want, but it conflicts with something they need. That's their core conflict. And the way that you could use Gyra and Sonda as a template for More the Gargantuous for this new Kong movie. That's good stuff right there, man. Hey, D-Man, do you think we will get the Great Titan War movies? No. And any insights on the two-part movie in 25/26, and do you think who do you think or want to direct it? Well, Jake Reagan, I really appreciate the support, man. Oh, why is that on the screen? Jake Reagan, I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much for the super chat, and thank you very much for your very first ever super chat. I don't think we're ever going to get a Great Titan War movie. I don't think we're getting any flashbacks. Maybe one or two flashbacks to that in this movie, but I wouldn't expect much. I don't think we're going to be getting that. Any insights on the two-part movie in 25 and 26? I don't know what you're referring to, but I'm assuming, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, it's a fan rumor that you're referring to, and it doesn't hold much weight. But if they were going to do a two-part MonsterVerse movie, that sounds like it would be the final entry of the MonsterVerse, and in that case, I don't know who you get to direct it. Why not Wingard at that point? It's kind of become his franchise, so why not? Kaijunat, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I really love the action we saw. Gigabash, the movie vibe. Ion Dragon fight is still my fave in the MonsterVerse. Hope to see more fights like that. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yes, the Ion Dragon fight with Godzilla is incredible. It still didn't top the fight with I don't think it'll top the round 2 in Hong Kong for me. I don't know if we will top that anytime soon, but that was an incredible fight. I've never played Gigabash, but I saw actually a lot of people saying that the big Shimo Godzilla Kong Scar King war was very Gigabash. Why does Godzilla get more attention than Kong? Well, I think he does online, but he certainly doesn't in the public eye. Like, you see more chatter about Godzilla online, certainly, but at the box office, it's King Kong who always performs better. I think it's just because Godzilla has more movies. I honestly think that's the reason. Godzilla just has so many movies that's why. Childish Landino doesn't think we're going to get flashbacks. I don't think we're getting any flashbacks in this movie either. Although I think they really should have done that. I really think they should have done that. But then what does he mean when he says... What does Adam Wingard mean when he says that we're going to see lots of different versions of Godzilla? Because I wouldn't exactly call 2 a lot. Unless he's saying Godzilla's going to have a mid-evolution. He's going to have his pre-evolution and then maybe 1 or 2 mid-evolution stages. Maybe even the pink Godzilla that we keep seeing is the second half of his evolution. And then there's a final evolution at the very, very end of the movie with one final Godzilla moment where his spines heal back over. And he's all formed into his final design now. Maybe that. I don't know. Of the Kaiju and Godzilla X Kong, which one is priority for picking up a Monster Arts of? Absolutely the new Godzilla. There's no chance I would go for anybody but the new Godzilla. I mean, Kong doesn't have enough differences. And the new Godzilla is just so unique that of course I'd want that one. What is your prediction on Son of Kong? I don't think that they're gonna. I've seen some people say, like, are they gonna sideline him? Is he gonna be only in a couple scenes, or is he gonna be like maybe kidnapped by Scar King or something, or even is he gonna get killed? I don't think they're gonna do anything that dangerous with him. I think he's basically gonna be there to be a mascot. I think he and Kong are gonna meet, and I have a feeling that he's gonna be afraid of Scar King. Kind of seems like in the trailer, Zuko leads Kong to the Kong Kingdom. Maybe in hopes that Kong can free them. Kong gets his ass kicked, and it seems like Zuko's probably going to team up with Kong and go back home with him. It seems like they're going to form a bit of a bond together where Zuko and Gia and Bernie are going to form a bond while they heal up Kong. And then at some point or another, it seems like Kong is going to be fighting to defend Zuko in the final battle. But I think Zuko is going to be in the movie a lot. And I personally think Zuko is going to be basically just a mascot because he's cute. Or at least they perceive him to be cute. And I do think Zuko and Doug will be friends. And I do believe that Zuko will eventually own Doug like a big pet. Yes, I've seen in the visions, Hedera. I've seen in the visions what you're talking about. I just don't think people would have connected those dots had it not been spoiled already. So I'm a little hesitant to speak on it because had it not been spoiled already, nobody would have connected those dots. All right, guys, I am going to end it here, by the way. I'm streaming a little later than I wanted to, and I've got to get going. So you got 4 more minutes, and then I've got to go. So send in your final thoughts and questions. Thoughts on the CGI so far from the trailer compared to the first. Mr. Milkman, there's absolutely no difference in the CGI from trailer 1 to now. I've seen no difference in the CGI from now to the from the first trailer to now, but what I have seen is color grading differences that some people are mistaking for CGI differences when I don't think that's what they are. Plague Doc, thank you very much. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, D-Man, last thing. I want to be a writer. It's my dream. I want to write something for Godzilla. Me too, brother. And 3 other franchises. Anyway, bring Gigan and Titanosaurus into the MonsterVerse. Well, good luck with your dreams, man. I'm right there with you. Someday I hope to be sitting alongside Yamazaki and Wingard amongst the Godzilla directors. And who knows if I'll be one of the good ones or not, but at least I'll have given it my all. That's the dream. But good luck with you. Good luck with your writing, man. Imperial Guard. I know. I gotta get the Hayas. I gotta start getting Haya toys. I know I need to. I don't think Godzilla's gonna meet any more of his species. I'd be shocked. You know what? The only thing they could do is bring in a Minya type stand-in, which I could kind of see Wingard going for, but I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think they're gonna do that. Yeah, I can't wait for that scene when Zuko and Gia are palling around together. Zuko's Gia-sized, if you didn't know. Zuko and Gia are palling around together, and he says, King Kong says I need to fight my own battles, you know. And then he grows really big, of course. Saturn Dusk, about that, it is going to be a lot of different videos. And they're all pretty long, too. They're all pretty long. I've done a couple of them right now, and they're like 15, 20 minutes. And it's a lot of work. Yeah, guys, I saw the reflection in the eyeball. I saw it. I know what it is. I see that you see it, too. I don't think it's going to be the biggest thing in the movie. I don't think it'll play as big of a role as many people are hoping it will. I think it'll pop up a couple times, specifically towards the end. And I think it'll be something that we can get excited about, but I think it'll be a all style, no substance type role. It wasn't supposed to be in the movie. They added it in after... Well, actually, originally, want to know the truth, originally it was in the movie. They changed things, so it was not in the movie. Then they changed things back, but by the time they changed things back, they had changed so much of the movie that, personally, I don't think it'll be that meaningful. I don't think it'll be nearly as meaningful as the last time we saw it done. That's what I'll say about that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'll probably do more of these live streams for Godzilla X Kong coming up. I do love the Kong Sucker Punch. That is amazing. Yeah, I'll probably do more of these live streams coming up. Thank you guys so much for tuning back in. I really appreciate it. Let's do more of these discussions soon. But in the meantime, I gotta go. I don't know when I'm gonna get my trailer breakdown out. Hopefully within the next day or two. But I'm kind of planning on Friday at the moment, so I guess we'll see. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great night. I'll see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man